Now, if there's one movie out there that could really make a profit for Disney, it's no other than Deadpool 3, starring both Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, which unfortunately, as we discussed just 2 days ago, Bob Iger made the call on this to indefinitely delay this movie, but there's a lot more going on with this film that spells a recipe for disaster for Deadpool 3. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into exactly what's going on with this film. Now, not only was it indefinitely delayed, but it also has a lot to do with the WGA strike, everything happening with SAG, but there's more to it than just that, as Bob Iger is taking this to his full advantage for modifying this movie and really doing a lot of things that I think fans are going to be very unhappy about. So let's dive into all of this and exactly how this involves Ryan Reynolds, Bob Iger, the board, as well as many of the planned cameos for Deadpool 3 that are going to suffer. But it's a lot more than just that. Now, we know that this film is a highly anticipated movie and was really potentially the only big hit that could have been for Disney in 2024. Now, like I said before, it's not canceled, it's indefinitely delayed, there's a big difference there, but it could lead to a cancellation if things get out of control. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well, even though I still view that as unlikely at this point. However, what's intriguing about this is exactly what Bob Iger is doing to this film that's going to tarnish the original plans for Ryan Reynolds and for the creators of this movie, alright? So, with Bob Iger and the board making certain decisions that are very crucial lately that are deeply impacting Disney, one major development has much to do with Deadpool 3 that will come across as a big letdown for fans of the character and the anticipated film. After Iger approved to indefinitely delay the film by removing it from Disney's release schedule that he also did, in addition to this, just recently that is set to drastically impact the quality of the film, is by cutting back on the budgeting of Deadpool 3 by roughly 25%. This is said to result in a severe loss of several planned cameos and significant scenes that were going to set up some important aspects of the multiverse in the MCU that are now about to get scrapped. This is a result of Bob Iger's cost containment plan moving forward that went active 3 weeks ago. In addition to this as well, several planned scenes involving Hugh Jackman are also getting cutbacks by reducing his screen time to an extent. How severe these scene cutbacks will be for Hugh are currently unknown at this time, but will be mostly geared toward the second act of the film. By reducing screen time for main characters and the overall running time and planned cameos, the budgeting for this movie will be minimized per Bob Iger. Now guys, let me pause here because there's more to the development about this, but one thing about this that bothers me is how not only do you have Deadpool 3 serving as the most anticipated Marvel movie of all time in my book, since Endgame, maybe even since No Way Home. Because not only is it dealing with Hugh Jackman's return, but it's also dealing with Hugh Jackman's return as the iconic, traditional Wolverine in the yellow suit that we all know and love, right? And how that was going to become a very big focus on the big screen. Now, like I said before, I'm not trying to talk like this is getting canceled, because it's not, but it is getting watered down. It is suffering from budgeting restrictions. And so, to put things more simple, it's not going to be as quality made as originally intended by Disney, and it's going to suffer a lot of cutbacks, a lot of restrictions, and this is where things get even worse. Now, just 2 days ago we talked about this, about how they want to essentially play things a lot more safely with this movie. They want to cut back on the violence, cut back on the, offensive jokes, if you want to even call them offensive. I mean, we live in a world where people take things too personally. That's the unfortunate truth, and Disney feels like they have to take action on that. We even went over, just 2 days ago, about how Ryan Reynolds came up with the idea for Deadpool 3 to take a jab at Disney in Deadpool 3 as a breaking the fourth wall moment. Kind of like what he did with Fox, with making X-Men Origins Wolverine with that altered version of Deadpool, and how he hated that character so very much. It was kind of like that, but we don't really know the specifics about what the jab at Disney was in Deadpool 3, but it was all cut. They're not using that in the final cut of the third film. Now, moving forward, Ryan Reynolds is already getting involved in this fiasco and taking it up with the big wigs / higher-ups to combat all of this to no avail. Bob Iger also wants them to dial back on the violence, like we talked about before, and offensive jokes in the script. However, changes can't be made until the WGA strike, of course, comes to a close. So everything happening with WGA is a very big deal, too. Now, since Disney acquired Fox, everyone must know this. They acquired them back in 2019. This will be the first Disney-run Deadpool film, and Iger is already interfering with the creative end for this film to play things safely and using this unfortunate situation to his advantage for changes. The film is likely to be delayed for release now until 2025, if and only if delays continue into the fall. They are also planning to cut back on marketing for this film as it gets closer to its release date in order to save costs and spending. Now, again, like I said before, I don't know if everyone realizes this, but a common misconception is a lot of people always felt like Disney ran Deadpool 2, from start to finish, and in total, that's not the actual case fully. It wasn't until 2019 when Disney and Fox came to that deal and made it official, so we haven't really seen, technically, a Disney-run Deadpool film. And so that's why a lot of people have been very on edge and skeptical about Deadpool 3 and how the jokes are going to be executed in this film by Ryan and Hugh, and how the writer and the director are going to handle the film because of Disney's demands. And now it's only getting worse. And look, I want this movie to perform well as much as you all do. I'm not here to just intentionally want it to see itself burn. I want to see this movie succeed, but only if it has the true source material that Ryan Reynolds was setting up for and that the writer and the director were setting things up for. You know, we gotta go back to the way things were with Deadpool 1. I feel like Deadpool 2 had a bit of a decline in quality. It was an enjoyable, entertaining film, but it wasn't quite there with the status of the first film. I don't think anything can match the first film. So, Deadpool 3, even though it is going to have Jackman as Wolverine again, it's sounding like we're going to be getting those cringy jokes in there that aren't going to be quite as well executed as in the first and second films. You know, I think that you're going to have a different tone or a different shift in how these jokes are going to be presented than the first two movies. That's basically what it's going to turn out to be. You know, I think that at the end of the day, given that Ryan really wanted full freedom and creative freedom and control with this film, it seems now that Disney's getting in the way and they are interrupting just as much as they interrupted with Star Wars and Indiana Jones. So anyway, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
Night to moon, we hear them moans again.